Hello all, I Dr. Sneha Tiwari will be discussing with you all about the HSG. So in today's lecture we'll see what is HSG, where it is indicated, where it is contraindicated, what are the pre-procedure norms to be considered, how the procedure is performed, and along with that we'll see some HSG reports for the better understanding of the topic. So moving with the lecture, HSG. As we all know, HSG is called as hysterosalpingography and also known as uterosalpingography. So whenever we're trying to understand any word, we should first go to its terminology. So if we see the terminology of this word, we know it's made of three words basically. One, hystero, that means uterus. Another, salpingo, means fallopian tube. The next is graphy, that means study. So basically hysterosalpingography is a radiographic study which is done using a contrast medium with the help of an X-ray report, which help us to assess the interior anatomy of uterus. That means the structure of the uterus is normal or abnormal, and the fallopian tube, that means whether the fallopian tubes are blocked or open. So before moving forward, we'll just see in a brief about the anatomy of uterus for the more better understanding of the further lecture. So see, this is the anatomy of the uterus, and we know uterus is pyriform shape. This is uterus in pyriform shape. If in X-ray report we doesn't found this in the shape uterus in the shape, that means there is some abnormality. Mainly there are congenital abnormalities. Then next is fallopian tube. We know fallopian tubes have two openings. One is uterine ostium, this one, okay, which connect fallopian tube to uterus. Another is abdominal ostium or pelvic ostium at the fimbrian end. So what happen at abdominal ostium or pelvic ostium? They pick up the ovum, and ovum come here and fertilize. From here, uterine ostium, the sperms will come and fertilize with the ovum which is in fallopian tube, and once they fertilize, then they are implanted from this uterine ostium only. They will come and implant on the inside the uterus. So for the proper conception, the opening of the fallopian tube is very must. Then next, this is HSG cannula, the main instrument used here. This also we'll review in short. So this is HSG cannula. Having the HSG cannula will have this frontal part through which we will insert it in the uterus. So through cervix we insert it into the uterus, and once this HSG cannula is inserted, we will remove this shunt. This is HSG cannula shunt. So this shunt will be removed, and in place of the shunt we will put the 5 cc or 10 cc syringe filled with the radiopaque dye for helping us in assessing the X-ray study. Then next is where the HSGs are indication to be performed. So main is infertility. In the cases of infertility, HSG is mainly commonly done. So why? Just to see or overrule the tubal factor, that fallopian tubes are not blocked. One side is, sometime it happens that one fallopian tube is blocked and another is open. So in that cases the chances of conception are still there. But in some cases we find both the bilateral tubes, both left and right side fallopian tubes are blocked, they are not open. So in that cases the chances of conceptions are nil, natural conception chances are nil. So to just overrule the cause of the infertility, whether the tubal factor, fallopian tubal factor is involved or not, we'll do the HSG test. Next is in the cases of recurrent abortion. If there are cases of recurrent abortion and we have a doubt or query that congenital abnormalities might be there in the uterus which is causing this recurrent abortion, we'll opt for this HSG test, which will further help us to find the normal structure of the uterus, which might be the cause or maybe the factor for this recurrent abortion. Also in the cases of infertility, the main is tubal factor, but also if there is abnormal structure of the uterus, there might be the chances that they have a problem in conception. Then next is the cases of sterilization, post sterilization. So if the sterilization, that is tubectomy, has been performed and a patient or doctor, anyone want to have a confirmed test that whether the tubes had been this operation of tubectomy has been successful or not, we perform this HSG test. And one thing to be remember here is that this test will be done after 6 or 8 week of the procedure only. The 6 या 8 weeks के बाद, that is 1.5 month or 2 months after, we will perform this HSG test to overrule or to see what is the status of fallopian tube post operation. Why this is done? Mainly because we know the tubectomy also has a failure rate, that is average 0.5% failure rate is there in India. So if anyone has a doubt or anyone want to be confirmed with that, then we'll opt them or we advise them HSG test. Then next is in the cases of recanalization. So what is recanalization? Recanalization is a reversible surgery of the tubal ligation, tubectomy. So sometime it happened, a person has or lady has opted for the sterilization, but due to some mishappening they lost their child and they want to conceive again, or they have change of mind and they want to have another child. So in that cases they come for opening the operation which they had done, that is in the layman language that they come and say please open our tubes. So that operation for the reversible tubectomy operation for opening the fallopian tubes which had been closed through this operation, will do the recanalization surgery. So in recanalization surgery all the pre-procedure investigations will be there. So normally whatever investigations we are doing, pre-procedures, pre-operation will be there. Along with that we will do HSG also. Why? Just to check the status of the fallopian tube first, that they are blocked or not. Like it might happen that they might also fall in that 0.5% and they are opting for the recanalization but tubes are already open. One thing. Secondly, to see the area where the tubes had been blocked. As we know, the tubectomy operation will be done at the junction of isthmus and ampulla. So to check the status where the tubes had blocked, at which location, and the current situation of the fallopian tube. Then next is to diagnose the uterine adhesions. In this HSG reports we are able to see the adhesions inside the uterus also. The next, where this procedure is contraindicated. First is pelvic infection. In cases of any PIT or pelvic infections, we won't be opting for this HSG. Why? Because if we do the HSG, then there are chances we will accelerate this infection which is just localized to pelvic area to the uterus, because the instrument we are using here are passing from the pelvic area to the uterus only. So to stop to accelerate the infection, we won't opt for this procedure. Next is in cases of suspected pregnancy. If there is any chance that pregnancy might be there, then we won't be opting for HSG, for it will induce the abortion. So just to avoid or to safeguard the pregnancy, we will opt not to do the HSG. Then next is in the cases of active vaginal bleeding. We know if there will be any kind of vaginal bleeding coming from the uterus, then of course that will cause the obstruction in this investigation. So in this cases also it is contraindicated. Next is if there is any recent operation has been done in uterus or fallopian tubes, that means DNC or any kind of uterine surgeries for the removal of fibroids or anything has been done, then we won't be operating for the HSG for at least 6 weeks. So 6 or 8 weeks, post 6 or 8 week of operation only we can opt for the procedure. Why that is? This is because if we opt for the procedure, we might perforate the uterus. We might perforate the uterus with the instrument used in this HSG. Then next is allergy and sensitivity of the contrast medium. So how we will come to know the patient is not allergic and sensitive to the contrast medium used during this is by doing the AST, that is allergic skin test. So if the allergic skin test comes negative, we won't be opting the procedure, but still if the procedure is needed, if after the AST coming positive also it's highly needed, then we give the cover of steroid, that is mainly dexamethasone along with the antihistamine drugs, especially like Avil. So just giving the shot of steroid and antihistamine, we can opt for this procedure. So next is what are the pre-procedure things which we should consider. So first we know that it will be done any procedure which is involving the uterus and which we have to perform at the cervix needed to be open will be done mainly from 7th to 12th day between, that is post menopausal only and before the ovulation. So that time period lie between the 7th and 12th day of the cycle. So same here, this procedure will also be done on the 7th day after the end of menstruation, that is approximately within the 12th day of menstrual cycle. So it mainly depends. If the patient is having 3 or 4 days cycle, so we perform the procedure on 8th or 9th day. If the person is having 6 or 7 days of cycle, then we perform the procedure on 10th or 11th day. So one thing to remember here is we won't be performing the procedure immediately after the cessation of the menstruation, but at least 1 or 2 days after the cessation of the menstruation. Then next is another things which we should be considering performing the procedure before performing the procedure is the proper use of contraception, so to avoid any kind of early pregnancy. So whenever we are opting or whenever we are planning the HSG, it is planned 1 month prior. Whenever the patient come, we ask their cycle, we take a proper history of their menstrual cycle, and then we advise them to come on 7th, 8th or 9th or 10th day or whatever on that day of the next cycle for the HSG procedure. So when we are advising or counseling them for the HSG procedure to come on that day itself only we advise them to use contraceptives, so that if they conceive also by a mistake, there is no chances of this early abortion due to the HSG. Then next is due to the use of this opaque dyes, radio opaque dye which we use, there are severe pain during this procedure. So just to avoid the pain, we give them antispasmodics in tablets or injections. So mainly Meftal spas is given 8 to 12 hours prior to the procedure, and injection like Trotins are given intramuscular half hour or 1 hour before the procedure. So there is mainly 2 reasons why this antispasmodics are given. First is to avoid the pain, because this procedure is done in the absence of anesthesia. Next is these Trotins, and they just relax the, they just soften the cervix a little bit, so it given easy access to the instruments. Next is AST is done of radio opaque dye, which we had discussed earlier. So that is also AST, that is allergic skin test, will be done half hour or 1 hour before the procedure. Then coming to next, how this test will be performed. So we know this test will be performed in a radiological department only, and it's performed without any anesthesia. Then like in the gynae procedure, every time the patient we have to examine or perform any procedure, we take them in the empty bladder. We ask them first to empty the bladder, and then we ask them to lie in the lithotomy position, that is tosser position with the buttocks on the edge. Then we clean the area, in the whole external genital area we will clean, and we'll do the internal examination, bimanual examination, to see the shape size of the uterus, whether it is bulky size or normal size, and we see the cervix position, like whether it is anterior, posterior or midline, and also we examine the bilateral fornixes, whether there is no tenderness, if there is any tenderness in fornix or like that. So this was about the this what are the things we'll be doing before taking the patient on the table. Then next is, with the help of the instruments, we will expose the vagina and cervix, and then we'll put the hysterosalpingographic cannula. So what are the instruments used here? First is anterior vagina wall retractor and Sims speculum. With the help of anterior vagina wall retractor and Sims speculum, we'll expose the vagina and locate the cervix. Once the cervix is visible, we hold the cervix with the valsalum. So with the help of valsalum, we hold the anterior lip of cervix and we'll put the hysterosalpingographic cannula inside. Then next, now when we put that hysterosalpingographic cannula, which you had seen in previous slide, then we remove that shunt and we put the syringe which is containing the radio-opaque dye. Now this radio-opaque dye is of two types. One is water soluble and another is oil based. So water soluble contrast medium are mainly titrazide, iodinate, or if there are oil based, low viscosity oil based, they are mainly diethioized oil. So what is the difference between these two and which dyes we have to use, that we have to decide with our thinking only. So main difference is that this water based dye, they are painless. In this, if we are using water based dye, the pain will be very less or will be almost negligent. But if we are using this oil based dyes, the patient may face the severe pain. But the main benefit of this oil based dyes are they give a very clear picture of the uterus and fallopian tube. So mainly oil based dyes are used because of the clear picture. Then next is we will push this dye almost 5 to 10 ml around. 5 to 10 ml dye is pushed very slowly. Then we'll take two X-ray images. One is immediately after putting the dye. We'll take that, and that is to find the shape of the uterus. Then once we had put the dye and we had removed the speculum and valsalum. Speculum, valsalum, all instruments will be removed, but the cannula won't be removed. HSG cannula will be inside only, and we'll take the X-ray report. Then next, after 15 to 20 minutes, or mainly average time period is 15 minutes, because after 10 to 20 minutes we take the second view. Now what the second view is about, the second view is to check the fallopian tube, the patency of the fallopian tube. So normally what happen in this two views, normally HSG two views will be taken. First is to see the uterine cavity, another is to see the fallopian tubes. So in the normal structure what happen, both the openings of the fallopian tubes will be open, that is uterine ostium and abdominal ostium. So from the abdominal ostium there will be this spillage of the dyes which we had pushed inside, and that spillage can be seen in peritoneal cavity. So this indicates the normal HSG report. Now see the reports. Here we will see some HSG reports so that we are able to understand things better now. See, this is the normal HSG report. So this is the normal structure of the uterus. Both the tubes were open. This uterine ostium was open, that's why the spillage, this radiopaque dye was entered the fallopian tube, and from this fibrin end it has spillage in the peritoneal cavity. When if you see, you can see only the HSG cannula is seen here, no other instrument. Okay, so this is normal HSG report. Uterus normal structure, tubes both the uterine ostium and abdominal ostium open. Okay, now next report. See this one shows one tube blockage. This is one tube blockage is seen here. Okay, because if you see, this is HSG cannula, this is uterus, and uterus having normal structure. Then here it has one tube is open, uterine ostium is open, even the abdominal ostium is open, and there is spillage of the peritoneal fluid. But here one tube is blocked, and it is blocked at the uterine ostium only. Next, see, this is another picture with this is of biconnuate uterus. If you see, this is the abnormal structure of the uterus. This is not piriform, but this is biconnuate uterus, which is the congenital abnormality due to Mullerian tube defect. Okay, the next report, if we see, this is also report of the normal HSG only. Okay, and it is also very clear picture. So here again we had used a we had put it. So here we can see this might be the first image and the valsalum is not removed. Here we can see still valsalum is there. Okay, valsalum, HSG cannula, very clear picture is here. Although this is not significant here, we don't need this in the HSG report, just for the understanding of the reports we are seeing or discussing it here. So this is a very good picture of pyriform uterus, right? Pyriform uterus, normal structure, uterus, uterine ostium open, both uterine ostium open. Then here it is coming, both the tubes are open, and then fimbrian, and from the fimbrian and it is spilling at the peritoneal cavity. So another normal HSG report. Then next, now see this one, there is bilateral tuber blockage. Both the tubes are not seen. This is normal structure of the uterus, normal structure of uterus, and pyriform normal structure, but both the tubes are blocked. Okay. Then next is this one. This is again a congenital abnormality of the uterus, that is unicornuated uterus. This one is unicornuated uterus and it is abnormal structure. Then next report you see this one is of the uterine adhesions. If you see in this report, we can see the adhesions where the images is not there. That means the dye is not able to go there. And why the dye was not able? Because there was adhesions at those areas. So these adhesions might be because of Asherman syndromes or because of uterine tuberculosis. How we will now rule out it whether it is uterine tuberculosis or whether it is Asherman syndrome? One is by history taking. If they have any earlier surgery of the uterus, then most probably it is because of those surgery complications they had got this Asherman syndrome. Or if there is no history of any surgeries on uterus, then we'll go for an ESR and Montex-Tuberger test. If ESR is more than 30 or if Montex-Tuberger test have come positive, we'll do both the investigation. If they had come Montex-Tuberger test came positive and ESR more than 30, then of course this is the case of uterus tuberculosis. Then once again, this is the short review. So this is the case of hydrosalpingography. Okay, in hydrosalpingography what happened? The tubes will be blocked at the fimbrian end. Okay, because of the blocking at the fimbrian end, that is abdominal ostium or pelvic ostium, the tubes will get inflated with the dye and giving it a picture of hydrosalpinge, like some fluid is filled in the tube. Okay, then now this is the images. These are the short review of what we had seen right till now, like a normal report, both the uterus normal and both the tubes open. Then this blocked tube, bilateral tube blockage. Then if only the abdominal ostiums are blocked bilaterally, then hydrosalpingens. Okay, then okay, so this was all about the lecture. Thank you.